Texas is back in the top 25. March Madness in November, and it's cold outside, but my LSU-Alabama take sure is looking hot right now. Don't go anywhere. This is College Crossfire. If you ask me, Alabama loses to LSU regardless of
They told me to do that, guys.
That's just me. I've been saying it all year.
I don't know
Check
about
the
that
tape. Check the tape.
They will score. Touchdown.
I guess we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, and then one of the Texas team was going to lose.
Hammy. I don't like the Hammy.
Wait, you like this guy?
All right, I'm done. This is all chaos.
Welcome back to College Crossfire. I'm your host, Turner Barnes. Before we get started, TSTV is doing a fundraiser to purchase more equipment in order to help us provide our lovely viewers with great content every week. Please refer to our social media pages for information if you would like to support student media. All right, let's jump in. Let's meet the panel. Returning champion, Zach left. Zach, how you feeling?
Feeling great. As you see from me last week to now, the beard is still here. It's Movember. You got to keep it on for the whole month, so that's the way it is.
Yeah, the playoff beard's coming in strong from Zach. All right, Christine, is this your first time this semester for sure, right?
Definitely my first time this semester. I haven't been on in a really long time, so I'm excited to hopefully beat Zach this week.
Oh, all right, some trash talk going. And Jaxie, also your first time on this semester?
This is my first time ever on.
Oh, first time ever on College Crossfire.
Crazy,
all right,
I know,
exciting.
but I'm also coming after Zach. So.
Okay, so maybe a little 2-on-1 situation against Zach.
I don't think a girl has won Crossfire in like a good year at least.
Oh, wow.
So it's
all
on
right,
Zach.
the pressure is on Zach.
We got a lot of pressure.
All right, let's see what happens. All right, the Texas Longhorns beat number 16 Kansas State 27-24 on a walk-off game-winning field goal by Cameron Dicker. Texas was having a rough stretch of games while the Wildcats were playing really good football. So how impressed are you that Texas came away with the win?
I'll start this one off. For the Longhorns, this game was a very interesting one, I'd say. You know, you start out early, down 14-0. All the fans, they're in the Surrender Cobra area. They're just like, what is going on here? But the Longhorns found a way to rally back and found a way to put up points. Now, it didn't really happen until the second half for the Longhorns where they really got going. And it started with that run game. Keontae Ingram looked great on the ground. For a guy who's kind of struggled, who's had criticism, people saying that Roschon Johnson should start over him. He really impressed me. And overall, the main keys, I thought, the senior leadership in this game was excellent. You had guys like Zach Shackelford, Brandon Jones, Colin Johnson. These guys produced at home in one of their final home games. That's what I was most impressed by. And those seniors are the ones that you're going to need down the stretch if you're the Longhorns to advance in a tough schedule, in my opinion, down the stretch for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Zach on that. Like, the senior dominance in this game was great. Overall, I am impressed with this Kansas State win. I still don't think that this is the best Texas team we've seen this year. I don't think they're up to where they were when they played against La Tech and LSU. But overall, with the defensive starters being back in the game and the way Sam played instead of the way he played against TCU, I think that Texas is back on the table. So.
And I'm also going to say I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Zach mentioned, like, good play in the second half. So I wanted to say after a slow start on both sides of the ball for Texas, I think that once the defense stiffened and, like, only allowing 3 points after the first quarter on that defense is very impressive. Sam Ehlinger, again, as Christine mentioned, had a great game too. Mm-hmm. He was not only efficient, but made some clutch completions towards the end. And also I wanted to talk about Chris Nagar, who stepped up and took on the role of Ryan Buchevsky, the punter who was injured. So.
One thing I will say, though, that didn't 100% impress me is, like, I still think that Texas should not be winning by a field goal. Ooh. That pressure should not be on Cameron Dicker at the end of the game to put up those points.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to go to the Sam Ehlinger point that you guys brought up. Mm-hmm. It wasn't necessarily his greatest game either. Now, comparative to TCU, where he had 4 interceptions, yes. But you look at the stats, they weren't great. However, if you want to say something that was impressive, that final drive was very impressive. Mm-hmm. You take all that time off the clock, you move it methodically. There was a clutch 3rd and 14 play where Sam threw a ball down the sideline and made a completion. That was probably the biggest play of the game to allow them to advance. Yeah. overall, that drive is something that we need to see, that the Longhorns need to make more efficient, efforts of doing that. So I think that last drive is a big boost going into their next games.
Yeah, and I mean the point with Texas winning by a field goal, they were on the goal. They're on the goal line pretty much. They could have scored a touchdown. Yeah, they did kind of technically score a touchdown. But so yeah, I mean absolutely, I agree. Very impressive win for Texas. So Zach, you're starting off with 5. Christine and Jaxie, y'all are starting off with 4. Gotta come back. Gotta get them. All right. Kansas State came into Austin, scored on their first 2 drives of the game, and would score only 3 more offensive points. Texas, with some reinforcements back from injury, handed the Wildcats their 4th straight loss at DKR. Both the offense and defense played well, and finally the punt team got some positive yards. With so much good to talk about this week, what was the key to the Longhorns' victory?
Well, the key to Longhorns' victory for me has to be like right after the second half of the Longhorns, the run game, like I said earlier. I think the run game really set the tone, allowed Sam to kind of relax, get comfortable, and that really helped. I was thinking Brandon Jones might be a good answer for this, a guy who stood out. But some of the plays were big, but for example, the punt return. Excellent play for the Longhorns. However, what happened? They scored, and then they let up a kick return right after. It was almost negated. The play was a motivator, but it almost negated the whole situation there. So for the Longhorns, it has to be the run game because for the first 5 games of the season, you were thinking it's Sam. Sam is the guy, and he's the only offensive weapon for this team. However, if you do get consistent play from Keontae Ingram down the stretch for the Longhorns, that will be a big boost going on the road at Iowa State and at Baylor down the stretch.
I'm going to go against what Zach is saying. I do think it was the defense in this game. And the reason why is because Kansas State's coming off of an OU win. So obviously their offense can put up some points. And the Texas defense has consistently been the problem for Texas. So because Sam has not had any issues putting up a good number of points on the board, and neither has the run game. So I think having those healthy starters back in the game was crucial for Texas winning this game, because if they didn't allow more than 3 points in that second half, and if they had not reconfigured, gotten their head back in the game, they would not have won this game.
But before we get back, before I let Jaxie go on and say her answer, I think that the defense was huge, understandable. Yeah. But Kansas State's game plan played into the Longhorns' game plan. They're not a throwing team, they're a running team, and every team that Texas got torched by was a passing team. So I thought that Kansas State ultimately was a better matchup for the Longhorns. I expected going in the game the Longhorns would play better defense, or at least let up less points. So that's what I thought. Yes, the defense played great, but I do think Kansas State's offense played into the Longhorns' hands.
Yeah, so y'all mentioned some other players that played great, but I think that the key to Texas's victory was Keontae Ingram by far. This man had 16 carries, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, an impressive almost 9 yards per carry. Very impressive. So I think that he was a key part of this win for them, and his big run game opened up the passing game for Ellinger, which led to their victory over K-State.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if the K-State game plan, on paper, yeah, you would think, but K-State only had 50 rushing yards, and they had 300 passing yards, or 250 passing yards, 300 total. And so Texas defense stopped K-State at what they are dominant at.
That is true.
So Jaxie, you're going to get a majority of the points on this one. So Zach, you're at 8, Christine, you're at 8, and Jaxie, you're at 7. All right, all year, the Texas Longhorn defense, like we were just talking about, has been disappointing to say the least. The last couple of weeks has seen people calling for defensive coordinator Todd Orlando to be fired. But Saturday, the defense looked pretty good. K-State barely cracked 50 yards on the ground and totaled 300 yards of offense. So does that mean Orlando is off the hot seat?
I think he's still on the hot seat. It's hard to tell how many of these problems are in his control. The secondary's been pretty banged up all year, so that makes me wonder how much of this really is in his control. Some other things K-State, as we mentioned, the defense, they did improve after that first quarter. However, letting up 14 points in the first quarter is not good. And also for one of them to be off of a play that was a complete defensive breakdown leading to a 70-yard touchdown, that is completely unacceptable on the first drive of the game. So yeah, I do think he's still on the hot seat. However, if he has a couple more games of stellar defensive performances, I think he will make it off since the defense is looking a little bit better.
I have 2 sides of this. So, like Jaxie said, I do think like in terms of the way people perceive the team and everything, Orlando's still on the hot seat because while we don't know, obviously missed tackles are not the defensive coordinator's fault. Like execution is a huge part of the defense's problem right now. I don't know if it's the plays as much. I do think, however, that he was never fully on the hot seat because I don't think Herman would cut him. I think in terms of like the public's perception, everyone's like, oh, Orlando, he's bad. Like this is not going to work for this Texas team. I don't think Herman was going to get rid of Todd Orlando, especially not after a couple bad games.
Yeah, that was a great point. It's saying about Todd Orlando came with Herman. They came together. It was a package deal in a way, and they came together. And for Orlando, this hot seat question kind of came up, but I see it as a similar thing to Shaka Smart in the sense that he plays well in a game where they win a game against a good conference team, let's say, right? And like Orlando did this weekend. He's off it, but he's always consistently on it because the defensive performances and the idea that the Longhorns lose these football games due to the defense, due to not Sam Ehlinger, but due to the defensive performances. And after 3 years, and I watch the Big 12, all Big 12 defenses aren't great. But at some point, the curve's going to have to change. Despite obviously the offenses being good in the Big 12, you're going to have to get some guy in there. And I think if Herman wants to prolong and help his career with the Longhorns further, because people even were going after Herman after some losses, I think he might have to make the change.
I don't know. I think a lot of this season's defensive struggles has had to do with the personnel, because when you don't have your personnel, you can't run what you want to do. And Orlando has a very exotic defense that relies on having his personnel. So he might still be on the hot seat, maybe unjustly, maybe not. We don't know that yet. We'll see at the end of the season. All right, looking ahead, this Saturday, Texas heads up to Ames, Iowa to face off against the Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State is led by quarterback Brock Purdy, who came back from 21 points against Oklahoma just to fall short on a failed two-point conversion attempt for the win. We all know Ames is a tough environment to play, so how does Texas fare on the road?
I've seen Iowa State favored in this game.
Okay.
I'm not sold on that. I do think that if Texas plays the way they did against TCU, they will lose. I think if Texas plays the way that they have been with all their starters healthy, they could win. Now, the weather's not on Texas's side. I think the Longhorns are going to have trouble playing in Ames. It did snow there this week.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold. So I think we'll see how it goes, but I think Texas is going to get the win on this one.
Okay, we got one for Texas.
Yeah, so with this game, the Iowa State is favored in this game, and I see why not. They're 5-4, yes, but they have 4 losses, 11 points. They've lost a combined total of 11 points. 2 games by 1 point. When it comes to Iowa State, they're a tough team. I thought preseason this would be their toughest matchup for Texas going to Ames, because Iowa State had all this expectation coming in. I do think Texas will pull out this game. I don't understand the 7-point favorite, the touchdown favorite there. However, this game will definitely be close.
Yeah, I think it will be a very close game, definitely not a given. But in order to beat this Iowa State team, I think that Texas has to stop their run game and definitely put pressure on their quarterback, Brock Purdy. Also, playing in Ames, it is going to be a cold one. And I think as long as the Texas defense shuts them down early and the offense gets off to a good start, they can secure this win. But again, it's about coming out strong, coming out early, because that is so important to help throughout the game. Because when you have a slow start, it is hard to pick back up and get that momentum to beat that team.
Yeah, and that's something that Texas has struggled with all year. And so I think against Iowa State in Ames is going to be very important to get off to a tough start. All right, so at the end of the first period, we got Zach with 11, Christine with 12, and Jaxie taking the lead at 13. When we come back, the panel debates whether or not this men's basketball team is for real and the tale of 2 teams in the NHL. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Before we get back to business, let's remind the audience of the score. All right, Zach, you're at 11. Got some ground to make up. Christine, you're at 12. Jaxie in the lead at 13. All right, here we go again. The Texas Longhorns men's basketball team is giving fans hope for a promising season. Led by Matt Coleman's 22 points, Texas took down number 23 Purdue 70-66. Andrew Jones hit 4 free throws late in the game to seal the win for Texas, who improves to 2-0 on the year. But is this like the North Carolina game last year, or is this a fluke, or maybe will there be some meaningful basketball at the Frank Irwin Center this year?
I don't see this as a fluke for the Texas Longhorns. I think when it comes to this game, the difference between the UNC game and the Purdue game. The UNC game was a tournament game in Las Vegas. For the Longhorns, they went into Purdue, and they beat a tough team in a tough environment. Purdue is not an easy place to play. And for the Longhorns, I think they have the right mentality this year. Senior-led, veteran-led, I would say. Matt Coleman, Courtney Ramey. I like the addition of Gerald Liddell. He's looked really solid as an addition for them. I think, obviously, similar to UNC's situation, next week they do have a big tournament in New York where they'll play teams like Georgetown, potentially Duke. So that will obviously give us an indicator. But I think the big concern with the Longhorns always is the Big 12 play. Shaka Smart's criticism has been, yes, he's done well early. They've been ranked early, but the Big 12 play has been a killer for the Longhorns. So ultimately, I think this team does have the right mindset to do better and not be a fluke like they were last year.
I would have agreed with you before last night's game. I think that the win against Purdue was a solid win for Texas, but if you saw their performance against Cal Baptist last night, it was not good. They were lined up perfectly for shots, and they weren't making any. Their shooting percentage for the first period was like 20% or something. And it's when you're missing these easy shots, layups, and everything else, that's not how the team should be functioning right now. So, and Cal Baptist, like, I don't know where Cal Baptist is ranked.
California.
It's in California.
Thanks, Thomas.
I said where it's ranked. But I don't know where it's ranked. I don't know anything about that team. So the fact that Texas is not putting up solid numbers against them, that's calling into question the rest of the
No love for a bad shooting night every once in a while?
Yeah, I think it's too early to claim
Yeah.
that they're just not that great yet. I think that this win over Purdue is definitely great for their confidence, shows that they have the talent to hang in there with top-level teams. They were 50% from the field, which I think is very impressive, showing that they do have that strong offense as well. And Matt Coleman, as you brought up, Zach, he had 22 points that night, which is a huge help definitely to lead to that victory, and I think he'll continue to play an integral role throughout the season. And also just in order to get through the rest of the season, they need to really come together as a team. As Christine said, they're missing like little things, but those are minor fixes. I think through like practices, they can really work on the things that they need to hone in on. So yeah, as long as they come together, I think they have potential to not be a fluke.
It's a consistency problem. I really do. So that's why I'm saying it's really early to decide on this team because
it's definitely early. But I think this tournament upcoming is going to be a big teller. And like you said, the Big 12 is gonna. That's where you have to get your wins in the Big 12 in conference play, conference play. So Zach, you're gonna get the point this time. You are now at 11. All right, moving on. Last year, the Dallas Stars were inches away from knocking off the eventual champion St. Louis Blues in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, the Stars sit at 5th place in the Central Division with a record of 8-8-2. Dallas got off to a slow start, going 1-7-1 in their first 9 games, but have turned it around in their last 9, going an opposite 7-1-1. So which 9-game stretch is more accurate for this Stars team this year?
I think it's the same issue as like with the Longhorn basketball team. It's an inconsistent team. So the Dallas Stars defensive end has looked pretty decent. It's nothing exceptional, but they've only been allowing 2.8 goals per game, and then we look at their offense, and they're only scoring about 2.4. So in terms of that, they're not putting up the points that they need to win. So again, it's a consistency thing. I'm expecting somewhere between the two, but I don't think it's going to be on the winning end for the Dallas Stars this season.
All right, maybe a little more pessimistic view, but that offense is definitely an issue. I mean, Jamie Benn only has 1 goal on the year. That needs to turn around for Jaxie.
I think you're going to see the winning Stars to continue to play throughout the season here. You can boo me. Okay, here. So I think that the first 9 losses, they didn't need it to come together as a team. They still weren't comfortable yet, and they were working out their kinks and everything. So I think now they're playing at that level that they were expecting to play at and have a chance to be competing for the Stanley Cup. Also, yes, as we mentioned, like Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, they will continue to be great players for this team and put in the nice time for them. They need to score as we are lacking in the offense. But again, with those leaders, they will be able to have a shot at the Stanley Cup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they just got called out by their GM. Similar thing happened last year, and after that, they turned it around. So looking good for the Stars.
I believe the preseason expectation for this team was high this year. They got good free agents. They got Corey Perry and Joe Pavelski to help that offense. That was going to be the struggle. The defensive end of the ice was the success, and they had 2 solid goaltenders. However, for the Stars. I do see them making the playoffs potentially as a wild card. I think they're at that rate, which is at the same point they are right now, currently in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, all good points. There's no really perfect way to tell where this Stars team is going to end up with the inconsistencies, but I think Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, they are great leaders. Jamie Benn's not playing so well right now, but I think they can turn this team around for the Dallas Stars, and you saw how good the Dallas Stars were last year, so I think you can expect them to be good again this year. So Jaxie, you're going to get the point on that one. All right, Evansville pulled off a historic upset of #1 Kentucky Tuesday. The Purple Aces became the first unranked non-conference team to beat the #1 team on their own floor. This rightfully gave many fans flashbacks to 16-seed UMBC's upset over 1-seed Virginia in 2018. So, per College Crossfire tradition, it's time for way too early March Madness predictions. Jaxie, we're going to start with you.
I'm going to go with Florida. Now,
Florida.
this is an interesting choice, but I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
So, Florida, they're like team this year, although they're young, so you are going to see losses at the beginning, but they're young, they're versatile, and this gives Mike White the opportunity to change his roster based on who they're playing. They have 3 of their 6 best scorers back, Nimbard, Locke, and Johnson, and they also just got their exclamation point, Kerry Blackshear. Let me tell you, this man is going to be dangerous down low. So my pick is Florida.
All right.
Yeah, Florida's an excellent pick. I'm going to go with the team that is predicted to win the ACC, which is Louisville. I think Louisville's excellent. They have Jordan Nowar, who is one of the best players in the country. Chris Mack came over from Xavier, did great things at Xavier, and he's made Louisville into a power after the scandals that's gone on there at Louisville. I think you got to see this team. When you have a team like this predicted ahead of Duke, UNC, Virginia, who are consistent title contenders, they have something down there in Louisville. Watch out for Louisville. They also have they're a really experienced team, which in college basketball is super big for the tournament, especially at guard play, which they have.
Okay, I'm going to keep mine really short because I don't know much about NCAA basketball, but I'll go with Michigan State. They haven't looked too good at the start of their season, but it's also two games in, so I'm not too worried about it at the moment. I think once all their players are back and healthy, Michigan State, they had a great preseason outlook on their season, so I'll go with Michigan State right now.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State, I mean, were they in Final Four last year?
They made the Final Four. They were ranked #1 going into the year,
Yeah, great Michigan State team with Cassius Winston, but I think I'm going to go with Louisville. I think the experience that Louisville has, and like you said, for them to be ranked to probably beat Duke, I mean, that's a big deal for a team that is trying to make a run to win the title. So, Zach, you're going to get the point on that one. All right, now you're at 13. Christine's at 12. Jaxie's at 14. All right, great debate, guys. Rapid Fire is coming up next. Stick around because it is sure to get heated. All right, welcome back to College Crossfire and welcome in to Rapid Fire. Before we get the debate going, let's remind the audience of the score. Zach, you're at 13. Looking nervous. Christine, you're at 12. Jaxie, you're at 14. It's a close game, and you know what that means. Rapid Fire is worth 2 points. It's anybody's game. All right, Monday Night Football gave us an instant classic where the Seattle Seahawks took the undefeated San Francisco 49ers to overtime and handed them their first loss of the year. However, this classic didn't come without controversy. Geno Smith of the Seahawks was sent out to call the coin flip. The mic picked up what some claim is Smith calling tails, but the referee says heads is the call. The coin landed on heads, and Seattle got the ball first. So to avoid confusion in the future, what else should the NFL do to determine possession in overtime?
So I'll start this one off. You know, it's tough. First, I was thinking maybe like rock, paper, scissors. However, again, there's ambiguity. What if you don't do? What if like somebody goes like, and there's a mistake, right? So why don't we go something that's clear and easy? Let's have a field goal challenge. Let's get those kickers out there. Let's put them start at the 40 and then go to the 45 and 50. You know, let's make it difficult, or you can start at the extra point. You know, that will clearly show that if you made the kick, it's your ball. You earned it.
I'm leaning towards a physical pick on this one too. So I'm thinking you just put the ball at one end of the field. You put your 2 running backs from each team on the other end of the field, and you just see who gets it first.
All right. So maybe an XFL style, like race for the ball?
It's a race for the ball.
Okay, all right. Jaxie.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the creative side. I thought about a nice race. They could do that. But like a quick game of cornhole, some friendly cornhole. It's it's very clear what the answer is going to be, whether whoever makes the most, the game is. So I think that's a great choice.
Anytime cornhole is brought up, that's great. I mean, you got to show off that you're a diverse team. You know, you can't just be smashing heads all the time. Show you have some finesse, get some spin on
There
the
is
bag.
finesse.
All right, cornhole, you're taking the 2 points. That's great. That's great. All right, Dak Prescott took the league by storm his first year, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2016. This week, he's causing a different kind of buzz. During the Sunday Night Football broadcast of the Cowboys' loss to the Vikings, a short clip of Dak's warm-up was shown. Videos and GIFs have exploded, using the funny move to make Dak dance to various songs. But that's the way Dak warms up for games. How would you guys warm up for games if you were going to play in the NFL? What would be your warm-up move?
I'm gonna admit I'm kind of all in on the dancing thing. 'Cause,
Okay.
like, I was watching Remember the Titans earlier today.
Yeah.
Shout out Disney Plus, but like
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
they were dancing and it kind of psyched out the other team. So I mean,
Yeah, so dancing before the game to warm up?
I like that as a warm up.
Okay, what's your go-to dance move, real quick?
I'm not dancing. For
Okay,
fun or
okay,
have
okay.
fun.
I would love Remember the Titans. One of my
Yeah,
favorite
a great
movies.
one.
That's great. I gotta just be boring here. I mean, I would just probably do some like calisthenics and like some simple stuff. That's all I need. I mean, hey, Dak showed us he had some moves. I mean, my man Victor Cruz did the salsa and everything,
Yeah.
which was pretty classy. But yeah, I think just simple stretching is the way to go. Honestly.
All right, you're gearing up for the win, right? Maybe not
course.
viral, but all right, Jaxie.
So at the Texas volleyball games, they all go out on the court before, and there's a lady at the front that like leads these stretches. I think if they did like a nice team Zumba class, that could be fun. I think, you know, just a group effort. I think it'd be a fun, nice team atmosphere.
All right, Team Zumba, get the blood flowing and maybe some camaraderie there. It's a little fun, combines the dancing and the warm-ups. Jaxie, you're gonna get the 2 points on that one too, all right? I can support Zumba, all right, all right. All right, Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck led his Golden Gophers to an upset of the number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions on Saturday. Needless to say, Fleck was excited. No, I mean really excited. Like crowd surfing in the locker room excited. We have seen many interesting coaches celebrate wins, but if you led your team to a huge upset, how would you celebrate?
So
We're working on it.
I think the best way is just I would honestly, similar to PJ Fleck, but I would run in there, everybody would be circling around, and I just start going dancing like crazy, like Roy Williams. I saw that, and that's my favorite way. The team loves when the coach dances. Or the coach celebrates like that, gets out of character. That's the best way to do it. Just show off the dance moves if I was the coach. That's what I would do.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I think you have to find a nice favorite song, okay?
Okay.
Because you know your dances to your songs, and once you have that, you just get to perform in front of it. It's like silent except for you.
Oh wow. Okay, so maybe not
no
nobody
one
else cheering, but it's
like
just like
you.
a show. Okay.
Have your moment.
I mean, I like the crowd surfing idea, but I feel like that's also kind of risky.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Risky
I agree
injury.
with Zach. I like the dancing in the locker room. I don't know. I can't really win at this point, so.
No idea. No.
So, I don't know. I like the dancing in the locker room idea. I'm not gonna.
Okay, all right. We're gonna give Zach the point. Everybody likes your answer. Dancing in the locker room.
Dancing's fun. You can't complain.
All right. So that means our winner tonight is Jaxie. Congratulations. Do we have time for FaceTime? No, we do not. All right. Stay tuned to Facebook Live to get that later. All right. Congratulations to our winner, Jaxie. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Be sure to check out College Press Box every Monday at 9:30 p.m. for the latest sports news on the 40 Acres. Also, tune into the 1-0 Sports Show hosted by Thomas Fitch and Robert Trevino at 8 a.m. every Friday. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and master control, we'll see you next week.
Give us money.
All right, welcome into the Facebook Live exclusive FaceTime for Jaxie. Jaxie, take it away.
So I would like to give my FaceTime to my family. I miss them all. We are all spread out all over the place, literally all over the place. But sisters in Georgia, shout out to her. She's thriving. My brother playing golf at Trinity, also thriving. And my parents, love them. And like just my dog. I just love my dog, Aspen. You are my favorite human ever. So shout out to my family. Love you all. Mwah.
All right, very heartfelt FaceTime from Jaxie. All right, and if you haven't checked out the horn raiser, go to our social media. Help us get great equipment so we can continue bringing, give us money in the words of Thomas Fitch, so we can continue to bring you great content. We will see you guys next week.